This is my Buckaroo nail belt setup. It's probably my favourite one I've got, but it does cost a little bit more compared to my original nail belt. Now this is just about $100 from Bunnings. I love this thing. It was perfect. I wore it on the back with a tape measure in the middle, and we've just got two large pouches on either side, both with the smaller pouches next to them. So I've actually gone through a couple of those exactly the same nail belts. They started to rip apart. They're not built for a long time if you're using them every day. And I upgraded to this Buckaroo. Now we can see on the side here, I did take the same design as one of those pouches. I got the bigger pouch in the back with the smaller pouch in front of it, and then we've even got a knife and a pencil holder. Now I use this to carry the bulk of my stuff. So in the larger pocket, at the moment, I've got my Speed Square. Now this is a must if you're a framer. I'll go into the detail in a different video on everything you can do and get out of a Speed Square, but I'll always recommend this over a combination square if you are a framer. But that does tack really neatly, nicely into that pouch. You can easily pull it out. I've got this. I've also got my chalk line. I've actually got a blue one at the moment. On the frames, I normally would be using a black chalk line. The difference between the blue and the black is the black has oxide in it. It kind of really stains into the work, and you can't wash it off after a period of time. So that's perfect when we're flicking out on our subfloors and our slabs, and we want those lines to stay there permanently. I've got the blue one at the moment because I do that when I'm marking out screw lines on cladding, and you can wash it out. And it doesn't matter for when I'm flicking lines on ply, which I'm doing at the moment, but normally I would have a black chalk line. So the other thing I keep in this pouch are my framing nails. I've always got a good handful of them slid in there. I normally keep them upright with the Speed Square so I can pull either out at the same time. And then I've got to pull my tools out to access whatever's at the bottom. At the moment, I've just got Masonite packing strips. Whatever's in there though, I just kind of change it depending on the job. So in my smaller pouch, I do have my nail punch. Obviously for framing work, I'm using a big bulky nail punch. I can easily knock nails away. And once again, job dependent, I have just a bunch of plastic packers in here. As I said, these will keep changing job per job depending what I'm doing. And just also some screws further down. So yeah, honestly, these pouches are quite a mess. They're kind of filled with stuff a lot of the time. At the front, I've got a little slot there, perfectly for my knife. So just keep my little Irwin blade in there. And my pencil just slides in next to it. I have tried the Pika pencils. I've actually gone through a couple of them. I personally always end up losing an attachment or a bit for the pencil, and I always go back to the carpenter's pencils. If we look on the other side, it's a bit of a different setup. Now you can see I've got the double pouches here, which has everything, because if you look at this side here, there's not much room to hold anything at all. Honestly, my most used pouch has to be this phone holder. So I keep my phone in there. It tacks away really neatly, really nicely and securely. And the reason I have it at the front is I do actually use it a fair bit. Being a young age carpenter, I normally keep a lot of my plans on the phone. Don't get me wrong, I do love looking at the blueprints when they're scattered up on the ground. But when you're on a roof, when you're in the moment, it's easy just to get on your phone, quickly flick through and find the plans you're looking at, rather than walking back to where the plans are and continuously walking around to find them. It's definitely not as easy and it's not as nice looking up on a small phone to find the plans, but it's convenient. So I do keep that there and it's always there at arm's reach to pull it out whenever I want. And then we can see next to that, I've just got a hammer holder. I'm using a Boss hammer at the moment. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. It's grown me a lot and it is my dominant hammer. I do use this all the time now. If you don't know much about the Boss hammers, they're filled with features. Firstly, they've got like a square head there, and you can actually put that up against your timber and use the handle as a square. We've also got all degrees. I don't know if you can see that. We've got all degrees marked on it. And you can put it up to your timber, line it up with the degree, and also use it as almost a replacement for a Speed Square. My favorite little thing too is we have a little socket bit at the bottom, which is a perfect size for changing saw blades. And obviously in a sheath next to it, I've just got myself a chisel. I don't know, what's this one? It's like a 10mm wide chisel at the moment. Probably not the best for framing. I don't know why that's in there. But I normally have a big bulky chisel to get stuff done. And that leads to the back then. At the back I've got this small little pouch here, and that's my tape. It just sits in there, conveniently out of the way. I can easily pull it, reach it without any struggle. So one thing I do with this tape holder though is if I'm doing a job where I have to hand nail some joist hangers on, or even if I'm repeatedly screwing down a lot of screws, I'll fill this pouch up with the nails and the screws that I need, and I'll just add my tape to the mess of everything here. I'll tuck it in there, slider than there. This pouch just holds everything right now, meaning if I do need something in there, it is a bit of a dig around to get stuff out. But then I've got all my screws in there that I can easily access. Now looking at this, you can see I don't hold a lot of weight. I do want my nail belt to be as light as possible. On top of that, you can see we've obviously got the suspenders as well. I'm just doing everything I can to be able to make it as easy and convenient for me to run around on the frames and not take a toll on my body. My old nail belt that we saw before, this thing used to be a brick. There was so much weight and there's no suspenders. And I've got a few hip problems from actually having this on my hips all the time and just dragging down with the weight, especially on my left hip. So I must have had all the weight on that side. I'm not doing myself any favors. I do have most of my weight on one side, especially because I have a titanium hammer. This side is super light. You can probably, I don't know if you can see it in the suspenders either. I don't know if they fall down that way. But my main objective for the framing nail belt is to carry as little weight as possible so I can be quick, get the job done easily.